What if the player who trained with Messi every single day and fought Ronaldo in the most brutal clásicos of modern football finally admitted something he never dared to say while he was still playing? Gerard Piqué has broken his silence, and his confession changes everything. Because according to him, one of them doesn't beat you with strength, doesn't even beat you with speed. He beats you by making you defend the wrong reality. And the other? He makes you afraid to be human. So the question is simple. Who was really harder to defend, Messi or Ronaldo? Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear comes from someone who stood exactly between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and survived both. To understand why Gerard Piqué's words hit so hard, you need to understand who he really is in this story. Piqué wasn't just another defender watching greatness from afar. He lived it. Every day. Every training session. Every high-pressure night. For more than a decade at FC Barcelona, he shared the pitch and the locker room with Lionel Messi. He saw how Messi trained in silence, how he walked while others ran, how he destroyed defensive systems without ever raising his voice. At the same time, Piqué was one of the defenders most frequently thrown into direct combat with Cristiano Ronaldo during the fiercest years of El Clásico and the Champions League. And here is the paradox. At 38 years old, Messi is still leading attacking charts, still accumulating numbers that seem to mock time itself, with over 70 goal contributions in a single season across competitions. Ronaldo, in his prime, was delivering 50 to 60 goals per season, turning knockout games into personal stages. Two legends, two statistical monsters. But according to Piqué, numbers don't explain the real problem, because defending them was never about tackling, it was about surviving what happens before the tackle. So how did one man experience both so differently? For years, Gerard Piqué avoided this conversation. Not because he didn't have an opinion, but because football, especially at the highest level, is political. And when you are still playing, every word becomes a headline. Every nuance becomes a weapon. While he was wearing the Barcelona shirt, how could he openly dissect Messi without sounding biased? And how could he analyze Ronaldo without reopening old wars from El Clásico? So Piqué stayed silent until retirement. Only after stepping away from the pitch did something change. No more dressing rooms to protect, no more rivalries to fuel, no more need to please anyone. In a long, reflective interview, Piqué was finally asked a question fans had been asking for more than a decade. You've played with Messi, and you've defended against Ronaldo. Who was harder to face? He didn't answer immediately, and that pause mattered. Because when a defender like Piqué hesitates, it's not for drama, it's because the truth is uncomfortable. Then he said something that sounded simple, but wasn't. It's not about who is better, it's about how they destroy you. That was the moment, not a debate about trophies, not a list of Ballon d'Or, but a confession from a defender who had been out of position, out of breath, and out of answers against both men. And what he revealed next explains why defending Messi and Ronaldo felt like two completely different sports. When Gerard Piqué talks about Lionel Messi, his tone changes. Not louder, not emotional, quieter. Because Messi, according to Piqué, was never a problem you could solve with aggression. You don't feel him, Piqué once explained, and that's the danger. As a defender, you are trained to read signals, a drop of the shoulder, a burst of speed, a change of direction. Messi gives you none of that. He doesn't announce his intention. He doesn't accelerate when you expect it. Sometimes he doesn't even look like he's attacking. And that's when you're already lost. Piqué describes it as a distortion of reality. You think you're in the right place. Your body is positioned correctly. The line is compact, the angle is closed, but Messi isn't attacking you. He's attacking the space you haven't even noticed yet. One step to the left, too late. 1/2 second of hesitation, fatal. This is why so many elite defenders look ridiculous against him. Not because they are slow, but because they are defending yesterday's situation while Messi is already playing tomorrow's move. At 38 years old, when explosive speed should be gone, Messi is still doing this, still pulling defenders out of position, still forcing entire defensive blocks to collapse with a single touch. Over 70 goal contributions in a season are not just numbers. They are evidence of something deeper. Messi doesn't beat defenders, he reprograms them. By the time you realize you're wrong, the pass is already played, the shot is already taken, and you're left asking yourself the most painful question in football. How did he get there? When I was sure I was right? According to Piqué, that feeling is worse than being outrun, because speed can be respected, but being wrong without knowing why, that stays with you. If Messi makes you question your perception, Cristiano Ronaldo makes you question your courage. According to Gerard Piqué, defending against Ronaldo was never silent. It was loud, physical, relentless. With Cristiano, Piqué explained, you can't switch off, not for a second. Because Ronaldo doesn't need you to be out of position, he just needs you to be imperfect. A step too deep, a jump half a second late, a glance toward the ball instead of the man, that's enough. Ronaldo attacks defenders directly. He challenges you in the air, in the box, in transition. He forces you into duels where hesitation is punished immediately, and the fear doesn't come from what he does once. It comes from what he does again and again. As a defender, you start thinking ahead. If I lose this duel, it's a goal. If I mistime this jump, it's a goal. If I relax for one moment, it's a goal. That psychological pressure accumulates. By the 60th minute, your legs are still there, but your mind isn't. This is why Ronaldo scored so many decisive goals in Champions League knockout games. Why his numbers explode when the margin for error disappears. He doesn't bend the system like Messi. He breaks the individual. Piqué admits that against Ronaldo, defenders often defend not to lose, instead of defending to win. And that's already defeat. Because when fear enters your decision-making, your timing goes, your positioning follows, and suddenly the goal you tried to prevent becomes inevitable. Messi makes you wrong, Ronaldo makes you scared. Two different nightmares, equally destructive. What makes Gerard Piqué's confession so powerful is not that he chooses a side. It's that he refuses to. In football history, we've seen extraordinary attackers before. Ronaldo Nazario destroyed defenders with speed. Zinedine Zidane dominated space with elegance. Thierry Henry combined both. But Piqué's words suggest something unprecedented. Never before have two players existed at the same time, creating two completely different forms of defensive trauma. Messi forces teams to redesign their structure. He doesn't care about your pressing triggers, your defensive line, or your man-marking scheme. He makes the system look outdated. Ronaldo forces individuals to exceed their limits. He doesn't care how compact your block is. He attacks your concentration, your timing, your bravery. And this explains something crucial. Why some defenders say Messi is impossible to read. Why others say Ronaldo is impossible to relax against. One destroys geometry, the other destroys nerve. This is why the GOAT debate never ends. Because fans argue with numbers, while defenders remember feelings. The feeling of being in the right place and still losing. Or the feeling of knowing exactly what's coming and still failing to stop it. Piqué's confession doesn't settle the debate, it reframes it. It tells us that greatness is not only measured by goals or trophies, but by the kind of fear you plant in the opponent's mind. And maybe the most uncomfortable truth is this: football has never known how to defend against one of them, and it may never see two like this again. So when Gerard Piqué says, one makes you defend the wrong space, the other makes you fear a mistake, he's not comparing trophies, he's describing survival. Now it's your turn. If you were a defender, would you rather be confused for 90 minutes or terrified for 90 minutes? Tell us in the comments. If this video made you think differently about Messi and Ronaldo, like the video, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more stories told without filters. Because sometimes the truth doesn't come from the numbers. It comes from those who had to face them. After the interview ended, Piqué added one last sentence that never makes the headlines, but should. He said that against Messi, you feel stupid, but against Ronaldo, you feel guilty. Guilty because you knew what was coming. Guilty because you prepared for it. Guilty because everyone will say you should have done better. Messi leaves you without explanations. Ronaldo leaves you without excuses. And that difference matters, because football culture forgives confusion. It never forgives mistakes. This is why some defenders rewatch games against Messi in silence, while games against Ronaldo replay in their heads for years. Not as highlights, but as warnings. There is one final detail in Piqué's story that rarely gets discussed. When defenders talk about Messi, they lower their voice. When they talk about Ronaldo, they raise it. And that says everything. Messi humiliates you quietly. There's no duel to lose, no clash to point at, no single mistake to blame. The replay doesn't even help you. You just see space opening and wonder why you didn't feel it sooner. Ronaldo humiliates you publicly, in the air, in the box, in front of millions, with a jump, a run, a strike that tells the world you were late. Piqué's confession forces us to ask the question fans rarely consider: is football crueler when it exposes your weakness, or when it makes you doubt your intelligence? Because in the end, defenders don't remember goals, they remember the feeling after the goal. And Messi and Ronaldo, they left two very different scars, so now we ask you, if you had to choose one nightmare as a defender, losing your position or losing your nerve, which one would break you faster? Write your answer in the comments. And if you enjoy football stories told from inside the battle, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Because legends are admired by fans, but they are defined by the fear they create in their opponents.